So let's talk about some more messed up things that happened thousands of years ago, specifically in the Peloponnesian War between Athens and Sparta. Right before the Peloponnesian War broke out, there was a mini war between two cities, between Thebes and Plataea. Now, Thebes and Plataea were enemies. They were enemies, obviously, before the Peloponnesian War broke out. And the reason why they were enemies was because Thebes wanted to really forcefully integrate Plataea into the region of Boeotia. And Plataea did not want to be a part of Boeotia, and so this really angered Thebes. It would be like if the United States told Puerto Rico, hey, we want you to be a state, and Puerto Rico said, no, we don't want to be a part of your damn union. And America said, okay, well, we're just going to invade Puerto Rico. Or, I don't know, America wants Haiti to be a 51st state of the United States, which I don't think will ever happen, but let's say Haiti just, flips the bird to the Americans, and the Americans decide, hey, we're going to invade Haiti. So right before the Peloponnesian War broke out, Thebes basically entered Plataea, thanks to a number of Plataeans within Plataea who wanted Thebes to invade their city. And so they welcomed the Thebans into their city of Plataea, and the Thebans entered. And the Plataeans initially, they were frightened because it was evening time, and it makes you wonder why the Thebans would choose the evening to enter the city. Obviously, because they knew that people would not be as out and present as they would during the day. So the evening was an ideal time because they could just enter the city, and people were more than likely in their homes and wouldn't really see them as easily. So the Thebans, they see this. The Thebans entered Plataea, and the Plataeans, they see the Thebans in their city, and they're like, "Wow, there's a huge number of them." But the reality is that there was a lot less of them than they thought. But they thought that there was a lot of Theban invaders in their city, so they got scared. So they immediately made the agreement with the Thebans that they would take control over their city. The Thebans gladly accepted their agreement, and by that contract, Plataea was now under Theban power. But then the Plataeans, they realized that there really weren't as many Thebans as they thought that they were, because it was evening and it was difficult to see. And so the Plataeans decided, well, to hell with this. We thought that there were a lot of them, but they really aren't. There's actually a small number of them, and we can easily kill them all. So they attacked the Thebans, and there was a battle that ensued. And the Plataeans slaughtered the Thebans, and the rest of the Thebans managed to run away. But a lot of them were slaughtered, and the Plataeans would slaughter a lot of Theban prisoners as well. Well, the slaughter of the Thebans greatly angered the Spartans, and eventually the Spartans decided to besiege Plataea. Now, the name Plataea, it sounds like a nice little Mexican village that you would visit during a vacation as a tourist. You would go there and eat lots of shrimp, drink margaritas, have a pina colada or two. It looks like that type of place. You would have some tacos al pastor with a cold Corona. But Plataea at this time was not like a Mexican little village, a little, pueblo for you to have fun. This was a Greek village, or city, I should say, Greek city, thousands of years ago. And at this time in history, you did not want to be there as a tourist. This was not a place that you would go to enjoy gyros and baklava and drink ouzo. This was a place that you wanted to avoid, because right now, at that point, it was being invaded by the Spartans. And, the Spartans, as we all know from the movies, weren't very nice people. So the Spartans, they besieged Plataea, and eventually the Plataeans, they realized that it was futile. They weren't going to win against the Spartans. They tried to hold out for a long time, but their food was about to run out, and they were on the verge of starvation. So the Plataeans decided just to surrender their city to the Spartans. The Spartans entered, and they took around, I want to say, 200 or so prisoners, all men, and they said, okay, give us basically gave them the question, give us a reason not to kill you. Give us the reason. What the Spartans told them was, tell us what you guys have done for Sparta. Tell us what you have done for Sparta. And the Plataeans, they had a really good response, actually. They told the Spartans, well, when we were fighting the Persians, the Plataeans fought against the Persians, but these Thebans that you have sided with, they sided with the Persians. Because again, this was in a way something of a proxy war. The Thebans were an ally of Sparta. The Plataeans slaughtered the Thebans, so now the Spartans gotta punish the Plataeans for crushing their ally, the Thebans. And the Spartans said, okay, well, we have to kill these people to please our ally, the Thebans. Kind of like America fighting against a certain country because that country is an enemy of an ally of the United States. You know, America destroying Iraq to help the Saudis, that type of thing. So, but the Plataeans, they had a pretty good argument. They said, hey, we fought against the Persians. We allied with Sparta against the Persians. We were part of the fight against the Persians. The Thebans, on the other hand, they sided with the Persians. They did not fight against the Persians like we did. So, we are better than the Thebans. And the Thebans said, well, hey, Sparta, because they just got the time to say their spiel, give us a chance to give our response. So Sparta said, okay, fine, go right ahead, Mr. Thebes. So the Theban representatives, they argued that the only reason why the Plataeans fought against the Persians was because they were forced to by the Athenians, because they were allies to the Athenians, and Athens was fighting Persia, so thus Plataea fought against the Persians because their ally was doing it. And that's not really much of an argument. It's like, well, but they still fought the Persians, so what are you going to say about that? You guys still sided with the Persians, but the Plataeans fought the Persians, unlike you guys. So what say you? So the Thebans, they argued that the only reason why the Plataeans fought against the Persians was because the Athenians fought the Persians, and they were allies to the Athenians, and they were simply following their ally. But the Thebans, on the other hand, the reason why we sided with the Persians was because we were forced to by our government, which is a BS argument. It is an absolutely BS argument. It's like, well, so what? You were forced by your government, just like a lot of people are forced by their government to fight in war. You still fought on the side of Persia. You still fought for the Persians against your fellow Greeks. And now you want to sit here and argue that the Plataeans are the enemies of the Greeks because they're an ally of Athens? Well, that's a bunch of nonsense. Because the Thebans, they argued that yes, we did fight on the side of Persia. Yes, we did side with the Persians, but only because our government forced us to. Those Plataeans, on the other hand, they simply fought against the Persians because Athens told them to. And now Athens are killing fellow Greeks, and they're siding with the Athenians to kill fellow Greeks, so it has nothing to do with defending the Greek people. It has everything to do with being servile and subservient to Athens. That's why they're so bad. And it's like, well, wait a second. Wait a second. Before the Peloponnesian War even broke out, you tried to take Plataea, and the Plataeans decided to fight against you, and you didn't mind killing Plataeans. You were prepared. You were prepared to kill your fellow Greek. And then when the Plataeans didn't want to submit, you guys went to the Spartans to kill your fellow Greek. And now you're siding with the Spartans to also kill other Greeks because your big ally who you are subservient to is Sparta. So the same thing can be said about the Thebans. The fact is that you guys sided with the Persians to fight against Greeks. And now you want to say that the Plataeans were the bad guys simply because they were an ally of Athens and they were simply doing what their ally wanted to do? Well, you guys were simply doing what your government wanted you to do, which was to side with Persia. So, but anyway, the Spartans, they sided with the Theban argument, and they slaughtered all 200 of the male Plataean prisoners, and they put I want to say maybe a couple hundred or close to 200 women to slavery. They forced all the Plataean women to slavery, simply to appeal to their ally, Thebes. So there's your Spartans for you, everyone. Supposedly people who fought for honor and for the West and for Western civilization, when the reality was that they sided with the Thebans against a city that actually fought against Persia. They sided with Thebes, which sided with Persia and fought against fellow Greeks, and they slaughtered people who actually fought the Persians. So there's your Spartans, everyone. They were opportunistic. They killed fellow Greeks when it was to their advantage. They sided with Persians when it was to their advantage. They were equal opportunist scoundrels. So please, enough of this Spartan nonsense of, oh, they fought for Western Civ. No, the only thing that they were fighting for was their debauched city-state in which they had pederasty and eugenics. So there's your Spartans, everyone. I don't care about the Spartans. Equal opportunist scoundrels. Anyway, you guys just heard some theology.